And good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the MMJHL Podcast for episode 4. I'm your host, Graeme, the GShow Forsyth. The MMJHL Podcast is brought to you by, of course, by Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. If you want to learn more about goaltenders, be sure to visit their website at gordytumelsongoalies.ca. Basically a one-on-one Zoom goaltending coaching service, which is pretty darn cool. We're also brought to you by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years. To check out their great line of products and why they're so trusted, visit their website at terico.ca today. And we're brought to you, of course, by Mid Canada Fasteners Tools. They got store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg. They're your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to visit their website at midcanadafasteners.shop. And guess what, everybody? Until the end of this month, which with any purchase you make in-store, you'll receive a free Milwaukee tool mug, which is pretty darn cool, if I do say so myself. But yeah, those are the sponsors. We got some great stuff coming up in the return of this episode. Why we've been away for so long, we decided to take a break and get stuff sorted out. Big announcement coming near the end of this episode. But funny story first off, folks. Jack Oleksiak was supposed to join this edition of the show, leading scorer on the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. I thought I confirmed the interview with him, but turns out I didn't. I contacted another Jack in my contacts. So, yeah, he's a guest for another podcast that is coming up this week that I ended up contacting. So there's only going to be one guest joining tonight. That's Denis Gagnon of the St. Vital Junior Victorias. Before we get into that, just want to get into the results of the past week in the MMJHL, taking a look at the results, a shootout of a win by the Stonewall Jets on Friday night, taking down the Raiders Junior Hockey Club 8-6. The St. James Junior Canucks ended up having their long losing streak snapped, losing only their second game of the season in a shootout to the Charleswood Hawks. Those were kind of the games that highlighted Friday. And then on Sunday, all 10 teams were in action. St. James getting back into the win column, a huge 8-0 win over the St. Boniface Riels. Charleswood, 2 wins on the weekend for themselves, as well as the St. Vital Junior Victorias, who had won on Thursday to start off their weekend by a score of 5-3 over the Fort Garry Twins. We take a look at the standings now. The St. James Junior Canucks, even after the loss, still well ahead in the standings, a 12-point lead at 18-1-0-1. Charleswood has now jumped into second place in the MMJHL after their weekend of games. And the Riels, they could have stayed in second, but they ended up losing 2 in a row. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak. Fort Garry and River East currently out of a playoff spot. Stonewall's been the hottest team in the league as of late. They're now in a playoff spot at 7-8-3-1 on a 4-game winning streak. I'm currently not on the screen. I'm going to pop up again here. But yeah, you saw there the St. Vital Junior Victorias. They've moved their way into sole possession of 4th place. And I had a chance to catch up with their captain earlier today in Denis Gagnon, talking about what it was like getting named captain of this year, what it's been like playing for the Vics for the past 4 seasons, talking about this year's team, the past weekend of games, the upcoming matchup against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, and more here on this edition of the MMJHL Podcast, coming up with Denis Gagnon, brought to you by Mid Canada Fasteners Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. Enjoy, everybody. Number 10, team captain, defenseman, 4th-year defenseman, that is, of the St. Vital Junior Victorias, Denis Gagnon, joining this edition of the MMJHL Podcast. Denis, the team's coming off of huge 2 wins in terms of a huge 2 points in the standings, 5-3 over Fort Garry on Thursday at home, and then coming away with the win 5-2 over River East on Sunday. Talk about it, the success this group found this past weekend of games on Thursday and Sunday.
I think we had a bit of a rough few games beforehand. The last 2 have been better. The first one was against Twins. That one was a bit of a come from behind I guess, game, which seems like is a bit of a story of our team. Um, at least in the last couple of years, where we come from behind, we make it hard on ourselves. Um, and then the last game obviously was had its own trials and tribulations. There was some ice issues. We had to wait for about an hour until the game got underway, and then I mean Sunday night, and it's like 10:30, and you're still playing a hockey game. It's pretty hard to stay focused, but I thought we did pretty good, and yeah, happy we won those two. It would have been a little upsetting to lose a 10:30 Sunday game.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was actually in attendance for that game. And yeah, there was a hole in the ice. There was like about an hour, 45-minute delay, like you said. And yeah, I mean, I had a chance to speak with Aiden Anderson, and he said that he felt like it ruined the flow of the game, which is to be expected after such the delay. But this Vix team up 1-0 after the first period, turning it on in the second period, scoring three, out shooting River East 16-8 in that final period. Goal split one apiece there, coming away with a 5-2 victory. Talk about how much that says about this group to go through adversity like that and find your game as things went along to get stronger throughout that one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Feel like a lot of it has to do with just the way you play the game, right? And we have a lot of systems that we've been practicing a lot, and especially in that second period, a lot of it just came down to, I guess, our guys finding a way to get it done at the end of the day. When you're not completely feeling it, sometimes it just comes down to making that extra effort, and we're definitely able to do it that game. And then the third period, I'm trying to think. I think we gave one up pretty early, but we were able to calm it down pretty quickly. And I thought for sure the last after that goal was given up, there wasn't a whole lot of room out there. I feel like we closed it down pretty well. I think they had one goal that got disallowed. I think in that third period, which I guess could have changed the game a lot. But no, I think overall I was pretty happy with the way that third and second period went, especially after the first period where, yeah, you kind of talked about it. It was the start of the game was a little bit like a pond hockey game out there. There was a lot of missed passes, missed assignments, and so yeah, we bounced back pretty good from that.
For this team this year, Dennis, you boys are 10-7-3, fourth place, 1 point back of St. Boniface for third place. Big upcoming matchup against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. But the squad is 5-5 in the last 10 games. There's been some good moments, but there's also been some inconsistencies in this game, as you and I'm sure the rest of the team is kind of felt. Can you talk about what it's been like in the last little while for this team? Why things, have been going good, but could be going better with how much talent this group does have on paper?
Yeah, yeah, I feel like there's always. I think the thing is with right now, we're kind of coming out of it. Usually every year we have this lapse of like, I don't know if it's just junior hockey, but I feel like every year we've had it happen where you go on a span of maybe it's 10 games and you're not playing awful, but you're not like happy with where you're at. And I think we just kind of maybe went through it a little earlier, and I think we're coming out of it. Our coaches have been preaching to us to get to our game and play Vic's hockey, and I think lately we've been doing that a lot better. And so it's just keeping that consistency. Like two games and two wins is great, but you got to get to the 3-4 wins in a row, losing one and then coming back, winning 3-4 again to make sure your record gets a lot better. Um, Obviously 10-7-3, it's not. Is that what it is? 10-7-3, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like we've done better than that in the past, but uh, yeah, the Raiders game on Thursday will be a big one.
Yeah, plenty of season to go, of course. Only 20 games in. And yeah, talented, victorious team on paper that went to the finals last season. You've had a chance to be with this franchise now, this organization, whatever like to call it, for the past 4 seasons. You've been around 4 different teams at this point. Can you talk about this year's team and what they bring compared to, maybe other teams you've played on? Is it similar at that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I guess junior hockey, I find is a lot different than what I played before. So comparing it to like the past junior teams that we've had. So last year, the year before that, obviously the COVID year was different. We only had five games played, I think. But a lot of the same guys are your big contributors that have been around for 3 years now. Like you have obviously Ruben, he plays a lot. Netch plays a lot, and they're guys that have been around for a long time. But even guys who are you maybe don't hear as much, like Luke Elliott or Connor Mitchell, or guys who have been around for 3-4 years, and kind of know the league, know our team, and so we know we're going to be okay, kind of thing. And having that sense of you're kind of all in it together is important, and you know you'll be able to get out of it because you know what you got, kind of thing.
Right, for sure. This victorious team coming into the season with a good base of players to try to run things back, get back to the finals, of course, as I'm sure the goal of this group is after
Yeah.
last season for the returnees. But for you, how nice is it coming into the season, even though there are some new additions, a lot of the same guys, just having that consistency and having that recognizability, I guess, of knowing each other for so long over these past 3 years? How huge is that, do you think, for this group heading forward into the later parts of the season?
Yeah, no, it's experience is definitely really important, especially with our team. We kind of know we've now won a couple playoff series as a group, and we do have some rookies, but I feel like we kind of know what it takes a little more to win. We know that there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. We haven't, obviously achieved a championship yet, but that's obviously always the goal. And having players that have been in the league for a few years now, you kind of can pick up sort of where you left off every year, right?
Right.
You know who's going to play where. Uh, there's guys who have a lot of chemistry. Like I think I've played with Brady Jaquette now for 2 years now. We've been D partners, right? So you kind of and you play a similar style every year. There's not too much change. And obviously we had a coaching change. But when you have almost the same group, uh, or at least a large portion of the team come back, it does help a lot when you're trying to succeed the following year. And so obviously that's what happened last year coming into this year, and we had a bit of a slow start, but I think we're picking up now.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brady Jaquette. You two have played together, of course, like you said, for the past 2 seasons on a pairing together this year. Can you talk about what that's been like being able to play on as pairing this season and the things that you two do so well on the ice together as a pair?
Yeah, yeah, I think well, Brady's kind of he's a pretty big guy, first of all, so he can do a lot of everything. There's not really a part of his game that's bad necessarily. He's a big guy. He can skate. He's really good at breaking out the puck. He's got a good shot. Um, and I think with him, you kind of I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you just kind of you get comfortable playing with each other. You kind of know when they're gonna step up and when they're gonna make a hit, when they're gonna need your help, when you should be calling for it. And obviously this year he's been really good for us. I think he's probably been our best defenseman or one of our best players, one of our best defensemen. And so yeah, playing with him has been a lot of fun. I have no complaints at all.
Yeah, it just seems like the kid's been growing and growing. And yeah, fun fact, I actually played a season of hockey with Brady
Oh,
Jaquette
really?
when he was in grade 10. So that's
Oh,
a
nice.
fun fact here on this podcast. But for you this season, you get to don the C. Not sure what your thoughts are, going to get them in a moment, but you end up taking over as the new captain on this year's squad, being there for as many years as you've been and the work that you've put in the MMJHL. How special was that receiving the C this season?
Yeah, it's obviously a huge honor. I I had said that beforehand too, and when I got told, it's really exciting for me. I feel like we have a lot of guys who are natural leaders, and there's a lot of guys that maybe don't have the C but could. And we definitely have a leadership group, I think, in our room, which is important because I'm not the most vocal guy out there, but we do have some more vocal guys. I think that's really important, and obviously, yeah, it's just an honor knowing who else had the C before. Like I remember when Clarkey had it, like Braden Clark or Coppinger. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We're in the C, but at the end of the day, it's just what's the word?
Just the
Still
letter.
a team. Yeah, it's just a letter. It's still a team game, right? And I'm not gonna win any extra games just because I have it on my jersey, right?
Right. No doubt about it. For sure. For sure. And I mean, players lead in different ways. Like you talked about, you're not the most vocal guy. So is it more of your play on the ice that you kind of set as an example out there as the leader of the squad, wearing the C?
Yeah, I think that would be what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Kind of if it's on the PK, like I'm kind of I think kind of known for blocking shots. I get a lot of pucks that like to hit me, and I don't know. I think that can be good when it comes to motivating your team when it shows that you're kind of all in. Seems like this year I can't seem to get a block shot, but I don't know. Past years that was a lot of things. It can be as simple as breaking it out or just keeping a calm head on the bench and trying to yeah lead by example. Don't get too high, don't get too low.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe invest in some new puck magnets, perhaps, or
Yeah.
whatever you've been doing before. But yeah, great to know that you have that in your toolbox and can do that. When your team calls upon it or needs it, those big blocks for yourself, Denis Gagnon. But coming up, this team going up against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. Thursday night at the Centennial. This is a team you boys have struggled with against this season, playing them first in early October on the 5th, losing 3-2 in OT, then playing them a month later on November 5th and getting blown out 8-2. I had a chance to speak to Aiden Anderson. He says that this team has to come more prepared to this game. Is that the key? What do you think needs to change this time around for this team to finally get a win over the Raiders Junior Hockey Club potentially?
Yeah, I think being prepared for the game is really important. Making sure you're putting yourself in a position where you can win the game. I know that we've struggled against them, I think, even in past years. I remember my first year, it felt like we couldn't beat them either. And then last year, obviously, we had some better success against them, but we still lost a couple key games against them. Um, Obviously, they have a good team, but it's you want to try and worry about what you can control, and you can't control anything they're going to do. So it's just about limiting our mistakes. I think last game that we played them, that was a big thing, is it felt like every mistake we made, they were capitalizing on it. So it's trying to make all the details really important in your game so that you don't give them those opportunities. Um, I think it's probably what's most important come Thursday and just being ready to play.
Yeah, and for you boys, you've played really well at home this season, 6-3-1. How huge is that going to be being able to play in the home barn in front of the home fans on the traditional Thursday night, as you know, at St. Vital?
Yeah, no, it's great. I feel like every year we have some pretty good success in St. Vital. You always have, there's going to be tough games, but I think it's probably, I mean, it's a home ice thing, I guess. You're more comfortable at home. Uh, you feel better about your position at any time, really, because you know the rinks, the bounces, maybe, you know more things. And I think the past last year we had a really good home record as well. I think the team's just really comfortable playing at home. And yeah, we don't like other teams to come in and beat us.
Well, we'll see it all unfold on GShow Productions 2 nights from now on Thursday night at 7:30 is when the puck drops for the Raiders Junior Hockey Club visiting the St. Vital Junior Victorias at the Centennial St. Vital Centennial Arena. Their captain, defenseman number 10, fourth-year player in the MMJHL, Denis Gagnon, joining this edition of the MMJHL podcast as this week's only guest. It was great to have you on, Denis, and best of luck coming up this Thursday.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
And that was Denis Gagnon, captain, number 10, fourth-year defenseman of the St. Vital Junior Victorias, joining this edition of the MMJHL Podcast, brought to you by Mid Canada Fasteners Tools, as you just saw on your screen, as well as Terrico and goaltenders. And speaking of the St. Vital Junior Victorias and their next game coming up against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, well, here's the big announcement, folks. GShow Productions will be live on location and will be broadcasting that game. Coverage starts at 7:20 for our pregame show. Puck drops at 7:30 p.m. And this is the deal moving forward. I've realized that all of the rinks here in Manitoba basically have terrible Wi-Fi. So St. Vital is one of those few rinks that has decent Wi-Fi, and we've chosen them as the rink we'll be broadcasting games out of for the rest of the season. So we got over 10 games on tap. It's going to be great, and all of them are going to be $5 to watch, except for the first one this Thursday, because we want to show you all that what we can do works, and we want to showcase the content that we can provide with these live streams. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. First one's free to watch, so tune in this Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. to watch some entertaining hockey, to watch the MMJHL like it hasn't been covered before. Excited to finally get things off the ground here for that. We're going to take one more transition here, maybe our second last transition. I'll be back to just show you guys the stats from around the league, the upcoming games, and previewing that game on Thursday night in St. Vital. You're watching the MMJHL Podcast. We'll be back in just a moment here for more on Episode 4, the return of the official podcast of the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League. Welcome back to the MMJHL Podcast, everybody. We're brought to you by Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. Be sure to check out their website at gordytumelsongoalies.ca. Terrico, serving Manitoba producers in the agricultural industry for over 80 years. Be sure to check out their website for their great line of products, to check out what they are at terico.ca. And of course, Mid Canada Fasteners Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Sure to visit their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Visit their website as well. And I will say this, once again, until the end of December, when you use the promo code GShow Productions in stores at Mid Canada Fasteners and Tools, you'll receive a free Milwaukee Tool coffee mug with any of your purchase. You got to use GShow Productions though to get it. Haven't mentioned that yet. That's what you got to use, but it's till the end of December. You got to be in store. I'll be sure to check out their website though, MidCanadaFasteners.shop, to check out their great line of products before you go and purchase. Do a bit of research beforehand. It's a great site to do that. But yeah, for the MMJHL, it's taking a look at the stats leaders through the 20 games or so in this season so far. Tyrone Willen of the St. James Junior Canucks on top once again. Pretty sure that it was Tyrone Willen, yes it was, that led the MMJHL in scoring last year. So he's back in a familiar place, 1 point over Rylan Huging, who has been having a great season for himself. If we take a look at the goals leaders, of course, he's been putting up the points, but leading the league by goals by quite a bit, 6 more than the second best, which is Tyrone Willen. Standout there from the St. James, or no, not from St. James, from Stonewall, the Jets, and Carson King, 16 goals in 13 games. That's pretty darn impressive. And his teammate, as you saw, third in points, in Peyton Bateman, leads the league forward in assists with 25 in 18 games played. That's 4 more than the second best in Derek Weeb and Brady Whiteley, as you see there. Tyrone Willen, of course, in the top 4 for assists. Again, he's just been doing it all this season on a loaded St. James Junior Canucks team. And then we see a 4-way tie for 5th in assists at 18. Starting at the top there with Jack Oleksiak, who was supposed to be on tonight's show, as I thought, like I said, had the wrong Zach that I contacted, and then the end of the tie there ending with Jason Ruff, defenseman for the Charleswood Hawks, who's been a big part of their success from the back end this year. We take a look at the goaltenders to finish things off for the statistics. No one's been better than Noah Gilbert in the Pipes. 926 save percentage, undefeated on the season. Has a shutout as well. 12-0-0. That record still stands, even though St. James lost this past weekend. He was not in net on that Friday night game. But we look at the rest of the goaltenders in the top 5 here in wins. 3 tied with 7. Only 2 goaltenders here with over 900 save percentage. And that's, of course, Gilbert and then Logan Enns of the Pembina Valley Twisters. But lots to look forward to for the MMJHL coming up this weekend as we take a look at the upcoming games. The St. Vital Junior Victorias, of course, kicking things off against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club at 7:30 p.m. You can actually check out the link right now by clicking that screen icon on the MMJHL. Pretty cool how they set that up. But 4 games on Friday night, St. Vital and the Raiders getting the night off. Then probably one of the key matchups in that Friday night. One of the most interesting ones, of course, is the Stonewall Jets and Riels, and we aren't doing that game, just to let you guys know. But Stonewall, they've been the hottest team in the league. St. Boniface, they've been on a slide, a 3-game losing streak. So see if Stonewall can keep it going, if St. Boniface can get back in the win column. And then on Sunday, which we won't be broadcasting that game in Transcona, by the way, site's got to be sorted out in that regard, which will take some time in terms of where those game icons are featured. So we've changed up the schedule numerous times because of the difficulties we've been going through. But that should be a good one, though. St. Vital going up against Transcona. 2 teams that have been getting wins and getting some losses in these last 10 games. And yeah, I mean, for the Stonewall Jets, if they can keep that win streak going, man, carrying 5, going up against the St. James Junior Canucks on Sunday night in Stonewall should be interesting for sure. Check out the rest of the schedule on the MMJHL's website for all of the games that will be played this season. You can check out all the results too at mmjhl.ca. But taking a look at this Thursday night matchup heading in for the St. Vital Junior Victorias, this is a team that's only 2 points ahead of the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. You look at the top and point performers on these teams, it's pretty similar in terms of the points that they've put up. So some good top end talent going at it in this game. If you take a look, though, at the goals against differences between these two teams, St. Vital has been the much better defensive team this season, but the Raiders Junior Hockey Club has put up more offense, and as Denis Gagnon has said, this has not been an easy opponent for St. Vital since he's been there, of course, as a St. Vital Junior Victoria. They're 0-2 against them so far this season. They lost 8-2 last time out. It's back in their home barn. St. Vital, of course, 6-3-1 at home this season, something that they'll be looking to bank on heading into a huge early season game in the standings, as both these teams middle of the pack in the playoff race right now. Vic's 4th place, and Raiders in 5th place, of course. I'm excited to see what Jack Alexia can do, man. Excited to watch Tyler Rubini and Riley Netroduke. It's going to be fun. Of course, GShow Productions will be on the call for that one, 7:20 p.m. We're going to start it off with a pregame show. Might feature some interviews in there, so that should be a lot of fun. It's free to watch for one time and one time only. All the other games will be $5 to watch on Vimeo OTT, giving you all a taste. So given a sample for this one for free, this first game. That puck drop will be dropping at 7:30 p.m. at the Centennial at St. Vital on our YouTube channels, where you can watch, or you can also check us out through the link on our website at gshow.ca. Going to go to one last transition here, and then I'll be back for some final words on episode 4, the return of the MMJHL podcast here on GShow Productions. Well, you've made it to the end of this edition of the MMJHL Podcast. I've been your host, Graeme, the GShow Forsyth. Thank you to Denis Gagnon for coming on and being the only guest in tonight's episode. Probably going to have Jack Oleksiak on next week's episode. Going to get his thoughts about the game at St. Vital that happened and how the rest of that team's week ends up going. Hopefully, it's not confirmed yet. Be sure to check us out on social media to find out who the guests will be for that episode. That will probably be posted next week on Tuesday. We'll probably be back on Tuesday night next week at 9 p.m. Time TBD. We'll probably be airing it at 9 p.m., but check us out on social media for that. Our handles are in the description of this episode. But yeah, pumped to do that broadcast on Thursday. It's going to be fun. 7:30 puck drop, of course. We're going to be featuring highlights of that game in next week's episode. Excited to finally get these broadcasts going, man, because it does suck not delivering on something you promised. We're happy we're finally able to do that coming up this Thursday. So excited. But thank you to Terrico as well as Mid Canada Fasteners and Tools and Goaltenders for sponsoring this edition of the MMJHL Podcast. 9 games coming up this weekend, folks, in the league. You got to love it, as it usually goes in an MMJHL season. We'll see you next Tuesday. I've been your host, Graeme, the GShow Forsyth. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the action if you can get out there and watch it. And we'll be back to bring you more news, more coverage, more interviews, more whatever next week on the MMJHL Podcast for episode 5. So we're finally back here on GShow Productions. I've been your host, Graeme, the GShow Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out, and saying so long, everybody, on this Tuesday night. See you in 7 days.